We have all been there, right? That little disagreement with a friend that suddenly isn't so little. That super tense moment during a group project. Conflict is just part of life. But what if I told you it's not just random chaos? What if it follows a predictable pattern? And learning that pattern is basically like having a superpower. Well, today we're going to do just that. We're going to break down the anatomy of a conflict. Seriously, think about it for a second. How many times has some tiny, almost ridiculous issue just exploded into a massive fight? It feels like it comes completely out of nowhere, but here's the secret. It almost never does. So the real question is, how does that happen? How does it escalate? So it turns out a conflict isn't just one big event. Nope. It's more like a journey, a series of steps that are all connected. It's a process. And to make this super clear, we're going to follow the story of two students, let's call them Alex and Ben. They get stuck together on a big project. And their journey, well, that's going to be our map. All right, so first things first, and this is probably the most important part. The loudest bit of a conflict, the argument itself, is almost never the most important bit. The real work, the stuff that sets the stage, happens quietly, kind of below the surface, way before anyone even thinks about raising their voice. This very first stage is called latent conflict. Okay, think of it like this. You've got all the ingredients to bake a cake sitting on your kitchen counter. You got the flour, the sugar, the eggs. Nothing's actually happened yet, but all the potential for a delicious cake or, a giant mess is sitting right there. The conditions are just ripe. So for our friends Alex and Ben, the latent conflict kicked in the second their teacher said, "Okay, class, you'll all get one shared grade for this project." Now, at that moment, neither of them is thinking about it, but that one little rule, that shared fate, creates the potential for a huge problem later if one person starts working way harder than the other. The seed has officially been planted. Okay, so you've got these conditions just kind of hanging out, totally unnoticed. But then we hit the next stage, perceived conflict. This is the aha moment, or maybe more of an uh-oh moment. It's when someone involved finally looks at the situation and thinks, wait a minute, something here is not right. The potential problem just became a recognized problem. And we're back to the story. A week goes by, Alex has written most of the report. Meanwhile, Ben has sent over maybe 2 sentences. This right here, this is the moment of perception for Alex. That latent condition, the shared grade, is now a very real, very perceived problem. Alex is thinking, I'm doing all the work here, but my grade depends entirely on him. Now, recognizing a problem is one thing, but how we feel about that problem, well, that's what really adds fuel to the fire. This is the pivot point. This is where a simple disagreement can spin out of control and turn into a huge fight. Welcome, my friends, to Felt Conflict. You know that knot you get in your stomach when you know a tough conversation is coming? Yeah, that's Felt Conflict. It's the moment the issue moves out of your head and straight into your gut. It stops being just a logical problem and it becomes personal. You start feeling stressed or anxious or just really, really annoyed. And this is exactly where Alex is right now. It's not just about an imbalance of work anymore. Now, Alex is rereading Ben's super short one-line emails over and over again and just feeling this wave of frustration. The stress about the deadline is getting all mixed up with being annoyed at Ben. The conflict is now an emotional experience. And what happens when those feelings get strong enough? Well, they've got to go somewhere. They come out. This is manifest conflict. This is the stage everybody thinks of when they hear the word conflict. It's the actual argument, the confrontation, the passive-aggressive text message. It's when all that internal tension finally becomes external behavior. And just look how fast this can go. It's like climbing a ladder you didn't even know you were on. Step 1, Alex feels annoyed. That's the felt conflict. Step 2, instead of tucking it out, Alex sends that text. Would be awesome if some people contributed a bit more. Ouch. That's manifest conflict. Step 3, Ben sees this, feels totally attacked, and fires back an angry reply. And boom. Step 4, the fight is on. See how fast that felt stage can just ignite the manifest stage? It's almost instant. But the story is not over when the shouting stops. Not even close. In fact, one of the most critical stages is what happens next after all the dust has settled. Because every single conflict, no matter how big or small, leaves something behind. And this brings us to the final stage, the conflict aftermath. This is basically the new reality that exists after the fight is over. Is everyone still secretly resentful? Has trust been totally broken? Or, and this can happen, was the problem actually solved, clearing the air and maybe even making the relationship stronger? The aftermath sets the stage for every single interaction you'll have with that person from now on. So for Alex and Ben, their fight is going to have an aftermath, no doubt. If they talk it through and fix it, they might actually create a better work plan for the future. If they don't, they'll probably start avoiding each other, and you can bet they will never choose to be partners again. Either way you slice it, their working relationship has been permanently changed. Okay, so we've traced the entire path, all the way from a quiet, hidden condition to a full-blown aftermath. That's the theory. But let's be real. What's the point of having a map if you don't actually use it to get anywhere? Let's talk about how you can use this map to navigate your own life. So why does this map matter so much? Because it gives you power. It gives you choices at every single stage. You can start to spot those latent conditions early on, like a shared grade on a project, and actually talk about expectations from day one. When you hit that perceived stage, you can choose to have a calm conversation before your feelings completely take over. You can learn to recognize that knot forming in your stomach, the felt stage, and choose to take a breath instead of firing off that angry text. And finally, just remembering that every conflict has an aftermath reminds you that how you handle things really matters for the future. At the end of the day, this isn't just a diagram and an explainer, it's a set of choices. Most people just ride the conflict escalator from one stage to the next without even realizing it, but not you. Now you can see the steps, you get the process. So the real question isn't just what is conflict, it's what are you going to do about it? You've seen the map. Where will you choose to change the route?